Good morning. Good morning. Volume on. There we go. Good morning. Good morning. Edwin, good morning.
Morning.
So we'll give it a few minutes, get some people to hop on here. Hopefully everyone got the text messages on time.
Good morning, Rob. It's Susie.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Suze, you're so funny. You're all, it's Susie.
You know what, Nadine? It's because I had the video off.
You're like Terminator. Good morning, Rob. It's Susie.
I'll be back.
Jorge, how's it going? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. Do you go by Jorge or George?
George.
Oh, George.
Yeah.
That's Big Poppy, but you can call him George.
I'll remember that. What's up?
Well, yeah. You know what? Growing up, talking to people, Jorge was too hard for them. Now everybody knows Jorge. So, but either way, it's the same thing.
Yeah, people call me all sorts of things too. They call me Bobby, Rob, Robert, Beto, and then some other things I can't mention.
There's always those.
Yeah, there's always a few of those. So cool, man. I'm excited today. We got an agent that transferred over to our office, Jordan Berry. He's a real estate agent with us here in La Mirada. He just joined, and he owns and sells laundromats. So which is really interesting because we always talk about the riches are in the niches. And when we talk to agents, especially in recruiting, it's not about like, hey, the one size fits all box. Here's what you have to do for real estate. I know coming from I came from Century 21 where it was like, here's how you sell real estate. Here's the book. Now go and do exactly what I say. And that's just not the case. Your real estate business is actually yours. So the whole purpose is to find out a little bit more about you, what you like to do, what you want your life to look like, and how you want to lead generate, and then build your box, your real estate box. It's unique just to you. Some people do charities. Some people are into my partner Adam's into running and he's in a cigar club and he's really big on SOI and family parties. I don't think he's ever missed a quinceañera ever. So he's the first one there, the last one to leave. That's his business model. Right. So it's finding out like what your business model is and then building your business around that. That way, business doesn't seem like a giant chore. It's like something exciting or something that you're passionate about and that you like doing. So Jordan, his is laundromats, which doesn't sound too exciting, but I mean, We think about an all cash business that never closes, and people always need to watch their stuff. And, then it ties into commercial properties and owning strip malls and bringing up the value of those. And then, so it's pretty exciting. So he's, I think he just picked his kids up from school. So he's heading back to the office right now to pop on the Zoom, and then we'll get started chatting with him. So what's new? What's going on? How you doing, Candace? Uh-oh, you're on mute.
It's always key to unmute yourself. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Another week.
I love it.
It's my second official week here. So
Great.
just getting acclimated. I know quite a few people at this office. I'm attempting to learn all of them. So,
Love it.
the last office only had 60 people in it, and then we grew it to 200. This one already has 125 or 125, 130 people or so. So I got to connect with everybody real quick.
Well, and I'm sure it's hard because people aren't coming into the office as much either. So it's actually having to have a phone call, but then you still haven't seen your face yet. So
I got to look them up and see their face so I can remember.
I know where you're
It'd be
on
different if
call.
everyone wore name tags. Back in the day when I first started at Century 21, years and years ago, everyone had a name tag.
Yeah.
Awesome. And people don't wear name tags as often as they probably should, I think.
What's interesting is my daughter and I are part of a national charity league, and I mean there's so many members, and every single time they always have, even the girls put on name tags so then they can because it's hard to remember so many people's names. So I love it. So I like a name tag.
Yeah, I have a buddy, Eddie, and years ago he had a business plan where he would actually go on a cruise twice a year, which was really interesting because I've been on these 3-day cruises. Leave out of Long Beach, you hit up like Ensenada or something, have a couple drinks, get turned upside down, get a little drunk, hop back on the boat and come back, right? Or hit up Catalina. So he would do this twice a year, and it was really interesting. It's like, well, and he would wear his name tag the entire time. So he's in the jacuzzi with a t-shirt on, he has his name tag on. He's eating dinner, he's at a table. Have you ever been on a cruise? It's like a table of 10 or so, and they don't know you, they're perfect strangers, but he has his name tag on. So some people think he works on the boat, right? But then it says, real estate. Back then we were Century 21, so it said Century 21 had his name. And he realized that like when he went on these cruises, he was enjoying himself, him and his wife, they didn't have kids back then, was going on these cruises, and people would ask him, about real estate business. And you think about it, it's like, well, they could afford to go on a cruise. They have some time. They left out of Long Beach, so they have to live in Orange County, LA area. They're not in, Indiana or something. And they got a little bit extra spending money. So they, what does their real estate business in their life look like? What does their real estate look like? Do they own? Do they rent? They want to buy multiple properties. So he would go and spend $300 and go on a cruise and come back with like 2 listing appointments and 3 buyer appointments. So it's
That is awesome.
so
I mean,
it just blew my mind. I was like, what? What do you mean? You went on vacation for 3 days and came back with 5 appointments on a boat where people can't leave?
right. And it was all from the name tag. I love
All
it.
from the name tag.
I mean, I see agents in town that wear them and go to the grocery store with them on. And I mean, so I don't know. Do any of the agents on here wear name tags? Adam, Rick, George? No?
It's
Oh,
Remo.
wait,
I've
Rick-
never worn a
Rick's
name
got
tag.
it on. Rick's got it on.
I have a lot of real estate gear. I mean, we have jackets and t-shirts and hats and gloves and
Get name tags.
Yeah, that's true.
I just have the real estate logo on my shirts. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about Kevin's third event and other people. Case brand is everywhere. He's got stickers, t-shirts, hats. It's everywhere.
Mhm.
yeah, but that name tag worked wonders, and they, and they're like $4. So you stick the bad boy on there, and off you go.
Oh, I used to know someone back 10, 15 years ago. They would walk around their supermarket with a sold sign under their arm, and they would ask him, what's the deal with that? And that's how you'd start the conversation.
I love it.
Oh my God.
That's great.
It's so subtle.
Yeah.
You don't want to be an undercover agent, right? Or a
Yeah.
secret agent. Yeah, people need to know who you are and what you do, and they'll never ask a question. They got to kind of see you.
You know, when people complain and say my relative or family member just listed and didn't use me, I guess if you walked into all the family events with a sold sign under your arm, you can alleviate that problem.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, they might, that's a tough one, family member list without you, they either they just didn't see the value in you, or maybe they thought it was, I've had people not use a real estate agent and use me instead of one of their family members that is a successful real estate agent. They just didn't want any conflict.
Yeah, and then some, even if they're family members, sometimes they're private and they don't want you to know how much money they make, or all those different factors. So I get it.
Yeah. So Jordan, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. You must be used to podcasts because you got your mic and your lighting.
I got an interview coming up right after this. So yeah.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to introduce you to the group. This is Jordan Berry. We met about 2 years ago, and I actually helped. I listed a home that you bought, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it was kind of cool last year. Still working on that project.
Yep. It's gonna be a while.
Yeah, I know it's looking pretty good. But getting to know you for a while, your business strategy and what you do for business was really interesting to me. I never thought about commercial real estate. I never thought about laundromats. I never thought about podcasts and really building a niche product like you have. And then you just blew up because there was a space, there was a void that you filled for an entire group of people across the entire United States, not just here locally.
Yeah. I mean, really the world. But in terms of real estate business, I'm doing a lot of referral business through, having a podcast, having a YouTube channel. I have a little blog, and on my website, I created a forum. So there's a kind of a community base there where questions can be asked and answered, and people are developing relationships kind of nationwide. And on my podcast, I'm doing long form interviews. So giving out a ton of information, but it's stuff that I'm not having to put together and prepare every week. And people are just coming and sharing their stories and sharing their wisdom and all their experience and authority. Like, I own laundromats myself, but also all their experience, all their authority, kind of gets transferred to me when I interview them. And so, when people think laundromats now, more and more people are coming through me in order to get different services, whether they're buying one, whether they're selling one. And so I'm able to develop relationships with, other people in the industry and help connect people. And it's just been awesome for the business.
Gotcha. So we're all about community. We're all about connection too. So that brings a lot of that brings a lot of it back to us at Keller Williams, and obviously you're with Keller Williams. So when I go out there and talk to people about real estate, they know Keller Williams. They know that we do a lot of things. They know we have a lot of training. They, especially for the real estate agents, they know we have a huge community. They know they might not know that we give back as much as we have. They might not know about the referral network that we have, right? So I go into presentations with customers and agents with the confidence using Keller Williams as my backbone. I don't know everything, but together, we do. And there's nothing that any question that I can't answer in a group, maybe even a group setting like this. There's some powerful people on this call, that could probably answer a majority of every real estate question we have collectively. And you've seemed to do the same thing for laundromats. You might not have all the answers, but that community that you built, you're leveraging that to really blow your business up. How did you get started? What'd that look like?
Man, you know what? I was saying for a while, I need to get started. And I started making some informational YouTube videos and, just trying to help people out. I had a pretty bad experience getting into the laundromat industry. So I started making, videos on lessons that I learned to try to help people. And then I was saying for a long time, I want to do a podcast, and it just wasn't happening. So finally one day I was like, I'm just going to record a podcast. And then I posted on some Facebook groups, trying to get some other owners to come on, and finally snagged a couple, and it's kind of taken off from there. It's, it's less than a year old. We're approaching 20,000 downloads now, and which for a laundromat podcast it blew all my expectations out of the water already. So I got a microphone and pointed the camera and just started recording. So just doing it, we talk about all the time, right? Like business doesn't just walk in your door. You just got to start doing it. So.
Gotcha. And you didn't have it all together, right? I mean,
Oh no, still don't.
still don't. But the purpose is taking action,
Yeah.
right? Has got you results, and it might have been a little messy on the way, and then you
Mhm.
start building some systems and tools around that. So
Yeah.
why own laundromats? Why is that? What's that all?
Well, I mean, I do a little real estate investing, and as I was talking to real estate investors and stuff, everybody's looking for cash flow, and so I stumbled across laundromats and actually through a friend of my wife's and started looking into it a little bit. And I was like, holy cow, man, like the average laundromat deal cannot be touched by the average real estate deal in terms of cash flow. And so, obviously it's not a completely passive business, but it's relatively passive. I mean, my laundromats are working right now and I'm not there. And so I started looking into that more and figuring out, how to use laundromats to get cash flow. And then really realize that it's really powerful when you pair the cash flow of laundromats, when you can also use it to acquire real estate and build a lot of equity really fast in the real estate through buying a laundromat, optimizing that business, increasing the cash flow and charging a higher rent, which, at the cap rates that they are now, even a little bit of increase in rent is pretty significant increase in value in that real estate. So that's one of the many reasons I think that, laundromats are pretty good investment.
Gotcha. Now, what's the point of having that higher cash flow when it's owning that investment property? So you and I talked a little bit about what you want to do in the future here and how we could help you and you could help us succeed in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell them a little bit about like what your plans are for maybe purchasing some strip malls and putting laundromats in them or taking them over and raising some revenue?
Yeah. Yeah. So I put together a little group of people who are pretty, well-versed in laundromats and, with my platform, I have people all the time. I do some consulting and stuff and people all the time who are looking to get into the business who don't necessarily want to manage a laundromat because it is some work. Whenever you have a business and whenever you're working with people, there's complexity there, even though it's relatively simple. But so we put together a little group where we want to try to go after some bigger deals and syndicate some deals and go after, some strip centers, some real estate deals, and either that have existing laundromats that, maybe could use some improvement. We can come in and do some little, put in new equipment, all the stuff that, this group of people who knows this business can do and can do really well. We can go in there and optimize that business. Like I said before, increase the cash flow and, charge a good rent to that laundromat and really increase the value of the property. And then at that point, we could decide whether we want to hold the laundromat for the cash flow or we want to sell it and move on to the next deal and hang on to the real estate. But it gives us a lot of options to be able to do stuff. So yeah, so we're looking for, properties now that either have existing laundromats that we can go retool or that have, vacancies where we can go in and, if the demographics are right, go in and throw in a laundromat there and really improve the community, but also create a whole lot of value both in the business and in the real estate.
Okay, where's the cash flow in laundromats? I mean, you guys have. I've been to a laundromat a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
You got soap machines, you got different vendors. Are you making money on all of those different things?
Yeah, there's a lot of different revenue income streams from laundromats, that you can have. But obviously your main revenue stream with the laundromat is going to be the washers and dryers, obviously. And so, that's where you want to focus and then adding supplemental income streams, because again, even though the value of, I'll answer that question in a second. But even though the value of a laundromat, doesn't build equity as quickly as real estate, especially here in Southern California, it still builds equity when you increase that cash flow. So all the streams really add up, $100 here, a couple $100 there, from vending machines, from ATM machine fees, from, selling, soaps and detergents, from massage. I mean, there's a whole revenue streams that you can add to a laundromat, but your main one is going to be the washer and dryer income. And so, pricing those right. The wash, dry, fold services, the drop off services is another huge one, and really going full steam right now is the pickup and delivery stuff. I don't want to get too much into it because I know you guys aren't laundromat people, but somebody just asked a question, how much it costs to build one. And it really depends on the size and location of it, but you're probably looking at 500,000 to $1 million for a build out. The trend is starting to go larger laundromats, so they're getting up there, but you can buy them for much cheaper and retool them. Financing is really easy to come by for laundromats, both for purchase, acquisition, and also for equipment. So
Do you own that equipment, or are you leasing it?
own the equipment. Property, you can lease, you can lease the equipment. It just doesn't really make sense for a laundromat in particular. Maybe if you own an apartment complex, maybe it might make sense. Or the other option for like an apartment complex is to have another service put their machines in and they do a revenue split with you. But for a laundromat, it doesn't really make sense. Especially now, financing terms are so good that, it's cheaper, and you own the asset. So to just buy it.
Gotcha. Well, I'm not interested in laundromats.
Cool.
I'm definitely interested in commercial properties.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
How can I partner with you to acquire commercial properties, and possibly you put the laundromats in there,
Mm-hmm.
base the value, maybe buy and hold it, or maybe flip a commercial property?
Mm-hmm.
So how would I be able to get involved? Do I find a property for you? Do I, what does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's various ways. I think, bird dog and then finding properties and stuff. I mean, we're always looking for properties. Obviously it's kind of a numbers game. You got to find the right property and in the right terms and the right, setup for a laundromat. So, we're always looking for that. So that there's opportunities there, when you find those things, send them my way. And if it works out, there's a good commission there for you. And, so that's one way. The other way is, we do take on investors to syndicate these deals and help us acquire them. We partner with, Eastern Funding, who does, laundromat specific lending, in order to get the equipment. And we're able to finance, a lot of times we're able to finance 100% of that equipment, which is pretty awesome. It's one of the perks of partnering with top-notch operators, which I myself would not consider myself a top-notch one, but that's why I brought some on the team. So, there's various ways to kind of partner there. Money is one of them, but there's plenty of other ways to get involved there.
And then let's talk a little about podcasts, because I've thought about starting a podcast and what that looks like and how to attract people to it. How do we do something like that? I mean, you've just hopped on, started shooting some videos, and did you send it to? Did you have a targeted plan of who you were going to send those to or invite, or?
Yes and no. Like I've utilized Facebook groups pretty heavily, and also Bigger Pockets was another one, because a lot of times those real estate investors are looking for the cash flow, like I said. So if you're looking to start a real estate specific podcast as an agent, you can target a couple of different people, right? You can target homeowners, and so that would mean providing information for people who are looking to either buy or sell their homes. You can talk about how to maximize home value before you sell. You can talk about how to, what the buying process is like. You can introduce people to lenders and things like that, just things that are helpful to your target audience. But you can also target other real estate agents and go for referral business nationwide, really. So there's a couple of different ways that you can go about that. But one of the benefits of a podcast is it's not localized. So you may or may not have people in your area listening to your podcast. I mean, you can promote it on local Facebook groups, next door, those kinds of things, to get people in your neighborhood listening to it and hearing that value. And obviously that's your core target audience. But even if you get people, you know, nationwide who maybe say want to sell a house, you know, what I do is I offer a free service for customers where I, you know, will help them find a good broker to work with. So I have, like, for example, a lady in Branson, Missouri right now selling her laundromat, and I found her a solid, good broker who's going to help her get that thing sold, because I can't do it because she's in Missouri. And he's given me, you know, a 25% referral on that. And piece of cake, it was a couple phone calls, and I know what to look for in a good, you know, a good broker, you know, for her. So I was able to refer that and get referrals. So obviously you want to target more localized, but a podcast has wide ranging reach, and it really helps people get to know you. Your personality really comes out, and it builds a lot of trust. You know, a lot of people are listening to podcasts while they're working out, while they're driving in their car, those kinds of things. So you're there while they're focused on you. You know, if people were scrolling on Facebook or on Instagram, they could be distracted. Even watching YouTube videos, you could be distracted. But when people are listening to a podcast, they're there and they're listening, and by and large, they listen to all of it. And so it's a really unique platform that I think more real estate agents could really tap into.
And I think so too. And that's why I was excited to have you on. I wanted to learn a little bit more about what you're doing for the podcast. We have a lot of unique realtors that work with us that have specific niches or specific situations that they're really good at, or something that they could probably tap into. So I wanted to kind of brainstorm around that and start thinking about what they can do to sell their niche customers, not just locally, like you said, but nationally, really connect with people. And then you could capitalize on the referral network as well. You know, like Remo does a lot of stuff on Facebook, right? He's amazing. He does a ton of business. His customer service, you know, is second to none. And he really builds that out, you know, family-friendly realtor. You have Edwin and Gloria, the millennial realtors, work with a lot of millennials, right? So maybe if he was to host a podcast about how he helps millennials create wealth, you know, while buying real estate, that might catch on everywhere, not just here in LA. And he could be the resource to refer those out to other Keller Williams millennial realtors in different areas all over the world. I mean, we have, last week we talked about, you know, moms that either single moms or moms that were working, their husbands are working and they're at home, and they got the kids now who are going to school at home, and now they have a full-time teacher, but they're also full-time career as a real estate professional, talking about some of those challenges or how they overcome some of those things, really connect with people all over the place. And that would really, you know, when they connect with you, you know, they know you, they like you, they trust you, they see you. Now you might be able to start networking some of those into real estate sales and getting referrals, and then getting business here as well.
Yeah, it's huge. And when I will say that when you either tell people or they find out that you have a podcast, literally anybody can have you could start a podcast today. You could do it for free. You could do it, you know, for real cheap if you wanted to pay a little bit to get a little more. But when people hear that you have a podcast and maybe they go check out your podcast, like, your stock in their eyes goes way up, whether you feel like you deserve it or not. Like, genuinely, it's impressive to people, and it just gives you a lot of credibility. It builds a lot of trust real fast. Just the fact that you have a podcast, because I think it's a pretty new. I mean, it's been around for a while, but it's just now starting to take off. So now's a great time to get involved with it.
Is there any other platforms besides the podcast? Have you got on anything else?
Yeah. I mean, my YouTube channel it's driving a ton of traffic to my website. And I get a ton, like I started my YouTube channel. I mean, it's a laundromat, you know, YouTube channel. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. It's not like tens of millions of people, but, you know, but even like I'm at like 2,500 subscribers, right? But that is a lot of very targeted people that are watching my stuff and building a lot of, you know, trust and goodwill. I'm giving a lot of good information on those things. And I'm telling you, when people need something in this industry, more and more people are starting to come to me, only because I just put myself out there. And I wouldn't even say I'm the best at anything in this business, really. But what I am trying to be really good at is connecting people and giving people a lot of value, either from myself or giving voice to other people in the industry who have a lot to value. And everything they say and everything they give just gets transferred to me. Whether I deserve it or not is irrelevant, but people, see me as the one bringing it to them. And so it gives a lot of credibility to that guest or that person I have on YouTube or on the podcast or whatever. And it also gives a lot of credibility to me. So YouTube is a huge one right now. And video is like going nuts right now on all platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. YouTube's going crazy right now.
YouTube is the largest social media platform.
Mhm.
Everybody needs clean clothes, and a
Mhm.
lot of people enjoy passive income. So you've got a great combination there, Jordan.
Yeah. And one silver lining from the pandemic is that laundromats stayed open, right? And laundromats kept paying rent, to real estate. And it's another reason why going to buy commercial real estate and throwing laundromats in there makes that real estate so much more valuable, right? So it's a unique niche right now, and it's kind of starting to gain some traction and gain some notice.
Gotcha. Does anybody else on this call have a podcast? Something that they've been shooting out there, or something they've been putting on YouTube that's been catching some traction that we could maybe talk about or learn about?
Rob, it's Remo. We have one, but I'm carrying Camila and she's sleeping, so I can't really talk loud. I can whisper. This is daddy duties. My wife went to go get her hair done, and that appointment was set a month ago. So
When you whisper, Remo, it changes the dynamic. You might add a few extra clients to that podcast.
well, we try not to whisper during the podcast, but I'll whisper today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a local podcast called What's Up Whittier. It's local to our city. We started it probably 2 years ago, and we, initially when we started, the gentleman that I do it with, I had no idea about podcasts. I still think, and they're kind of not necessarily stupid, but it's like, I can't believe people listen to a whole hour, right? And that was my initial 2 years ago thought. And there's a lot of just sidebar conversations, and people, like was mentioned, really get into, like, your personality really shines. So we I think have 120 episodes or so, and we're close to the tens of thousands of downloads. And what's crazy about it is my neighbor actually listens to it, and she actually came up to me. She says, "Hey, I love your podcast. I've listened to almost all the episodes." And she's asked me multiple times, because we stopped because of the pandemic, like, when are you guys going to start up again? And I was just floored. I was like, what? You listen to it? Because I still think people don't listen to it. But like I was mentioning, it's one of those things where our stock in her eyes went up significantly, which I would have never guessed in 100 years that would have happened.
Wow, that's awesome. So what do you guys talk about? What's up, Whittier? You just talk about everything in Whittier? What's going on in Whittier?
Yeah, well, we interview one local business owner and just for an hour, just ask them how to get started. And it's really their story. And it's actually really nice. We've had really intimate conversations with a lot of the movers and shakers, and things that I would never know about, how someone would get started, and, what they used to do before they did the restaurant. I remember one of the guys used to buy those little Cholo toys from the vending machines. And when he was younger, he would buy a lot of them and just sell them and make $1 per one. And that's how he actually got started and parlay that into a business. And it was incredible. I was blown away. But those types of stories, same with restaurant owners, how they got their inspiration for their restaurant, to hear like the backstory is actually really neat. So, yeah. So we interview, the premise is we interview one business owner that's local to the area and ask them, their story. And then we'll go into some kind of common questions across the board, like, what's your favorite spot? What do you wish the city had? If you were to bring a business, what would you bring to the city? So there's some set questions, but really it's just a open conversation about your story and how we're here today.
And how are your relationships with those people after they've been spotlighted on your podcast?
I mean, they're well, I mean, you're grilling someone for an hour, so you're asking a lot of questions about just about everything, family, friends, good times, bad times. So they're definitely like, I know we've had deeper conversations in probably their own like extended family, like because you're asking so many questions and it's all about them. So the relationship definitely deepens anytime I go into those establishment. It's like first name basis. It's like, hey Tom, hey Jerry type thing versus just another customer. So, when and from a business standpoint, when you're talking about selling locally and someone, I always in a listing appointment might say, well, it might come up, what's your favorite restaurant? Oh, they say it's, I don't know, ABC Burger. I say, oh, that's Tom owns that. He has a really good story, and blah, blah, blah. And they're just blown away because it's like, wow, it's one thing to be a local expert, but it's another thing to know their favorite restaurant owners, story. So I think it builds so much more credibility, and and it's been great. We slowed down because of the pandemic and the logistics of it, but we recorded the first one a week ago, and I think we have one scheduled for tomorrow. So it's just, we're getting back into it because we used to do it in person. We tried a couple times virtually. It's been hit and miss. The technology, the audio sometimes is bad. It's we're not connected. And actually, some of the restaurants when we go to, they'll put out a whole spread for us, and they'll like say, okay, here, they'll bring 5 dishes, and we're actually eating the food and talking about it and commenting about it, and it's actually pretty fun. Same with drinks, and we go to bars where they'll make their top 3 cocktails, and we'll have cocktails. So it's been interesting, and it's been fun, and it's deepened relationships locally with a lot of the movers and shakers of our town.
Wow, well, that's taking the local expert to a whole nother level. That's really intimate, that you know those people at that level. And have you been able to capture their business or referral business from that?
I have to go back and kind of look. I know we got a referral or two, but I don't know if it's translated into business, and maybe not. I've had past clients and new clients that know that we're on the podcast and have listened to us. So is there some overlap from the podcast? I'm sure there is that I don't know of. I mean, heck, if even my neighbor who, we talk to our neighbor, but for her to like call or text me and say, hey, when are you guys starting up the podcast again? It was just like, so I'm sure other people are in that same, because our goal to kind of how did we get started, I think was important, is we went after the local movers and shakers that had a big social media presence, and we interviewed them. And obviously when we interviewed them, they shared it, and we started getting the downloads and so forth from kind of their tail. And so so I'm sure that episode was listened by someone that will eventually do business with us, but to say this exact person came from it, I don't know if I have that.
Gotcha. Well, it definitely makes real estate a little more interesting, a little more fun, right? Adding that to your lead gen. So let's open it up. What questions do you guys have for either Remo or Jerry or Jordan? Jerry's on this call too, right? Jerry here? I saw him on here earlier, so I'm pretty sure Jerry's probably got a podcast. So what questions do you guys have? Let's open it up.
I have a question about for Jordan about the ROI on your investment in the laundromat. You gave a broad range, 500,000 to $1 million. Can you walk us through the numbers of what to expect?
Yeah, I mean, one of the perks of a laundromat is their value based on a multiple of net operating income. And so, right now, tip top shape laundromat with new equipment, operating at a 5 times multiplier, which is a 20% ROI unleveraged. And one that needs a little bit of work, you're probably looking somewhere to the 30 to 35% ROI. And these are unleveraged and for kind of average deals. Some deals I'm trying to get more than that from them. Some of them, if they're stabilized and stuff, I'm okay in that range. I mean, that's I think most of us would take 20% ROI for pretty minimum time and effort investment. So,
and how long does it take you to realize that ROI and get your cash back, I guess?
If you're building or if you're buying?
Well, both, because one of the other questions I had for you, because one of the challenges with a laundromat is rising costs in the form of utilities and rents. And
Mhm.
so, there's differences there as the owner of the building versus not owning the building. And then, of course, the condition of the property. So
Right. Yeah.
if
So
you mapped all that together, how would you best answer that for someone who,
yeah.
gone down that path?
Yeah. I mean, there's whole lot of it depends on there.
I
But
understand.
yeah, if you're buying an existing laundromat, I mean, you should be buying it based on the performance. So you should be able to realize those returns pretty much immediately. There may be things that you need to do, to get things moving. And, sometimes when there's an ownership change, some people leave and you might get some new people. So there might be a little bit of fluctuation in there, but pretty much immediately when you purchase it, as long as you purchase it correctly. And that's a big caveat. I think that's the big trick in laundromat industry because it's an all cash business. Traditionally, there's been some shady characters who, skimming off the top and aren't keeping great books or keep two sets of books or just are not good business owners and don't keep any books. So that's one of the tricks. In terms of building, it can take 6 months to a year to get up to full capacity. And a lot of it depends on the way that you launch that business and how you launch it leading up to it, how you launch it when you fling open the doors for the first time, and what your follow-up sequence is.
And do you prefer the coin operated or the card operated or a combination?
Man, I prefer a card operator if at all possible. I mean, it makes management so much easier. You can do a lot of great promotions for your customers. Way easier. You can be very creative with it. You can do simple things like do 10 washes, get one free. It's all the information's on the card. Your data, the data you get with the card system is far superior to anything you can get, even with the newer machines that do have some data built in with the coins. You can still get a lot more information with the card system. You're also collecting customer information like email addresses and phone numbers. So now you have a database of customers with the card system. It's a little tougher to do. You have to be very intentional to do that with the coin system. The downside to the card system is the main downside is the cost of it. The other potential downside is there can be a learning curve for some customers, and some customers just kind of refuse to use cards. But it's more and more common, especially since COVID, pushing things that way. So.
And then lastly, what about one of the other challenges is for somebody who's not is newer to the business, is having to be a jack of all trades, electrician, businessman, marketer, janitor, and other things. Do you use any kind of third-party services that are out there like Martin Ray Laundry Systems or anybody like that? Or you have all that handled in-house?
Well, we do use like mechanics to fix machines. I've been in the business for a while now, so I'll do the quick fixes a lot of times where I can just kind of get in there. It'll take me 15 minutes, or it's going to sit broken for a couple of days so the mechanic can get there and get the right part. I'll just do the 15-minute fix. We'll use mechanics. We do hire plumbers when we need plumbers come clean out the pipes or unclog a drain or something. And then, in terms of marketing and all that, I mean, I built a marketing company specifically for laundromat owners. I'm not doing it as a referral system only. I mean, my goal is to have a comprehensive business for laundromat owners where they can get what they need. So yeah.
That's smart. And then I guess the other question I was going to have is, have you considered, or do you use new apps like Clubhouse to promote your podcast? And have you ever been interviewed on Lab Coat Agents or have any relationship with people there to do the same?
I just got on Clubhouse, so I haven't done a whole lot about it or with it. I'm just, I got on maybe last week and have been on a few times. So I know it's all the rage right now, man. It came out of nowhere for me. I don't know.
Plugged in.
I know. Yeah. And I'm very much in the building phase of stuff. So my head is down and I'm building a lot right now. So I don't spend a ton of time on social media sites, but Clubhouse is very interesting right now because there's just so much buzz about it. And I'm on the Lab Coat Agents Facebook group, but I have not talked to anybody really about what I'm doing
Well,
specifically.
I
with
connected
lawnmowers.
with you on Facebook. If you accept my friend request, maybe I could have you on. I'm a moderator there, so maybe I could put you on like a 10-minute lab, which is short and sweet. You
Cool.
can go right to the bullet points. You can promote your podcast and everybody wins. I love
Love
what you
it.
have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, love it.
Cool. Well, we got about 15 minutes left. So what else do we have going on in our business right now that maybe we're struggling in that we could overcome by chatting with it together? What do you guys got going on?
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
I have a question for David and maybe anybody else who has started to use this, but who's using Clubhouse? Who's doing what with Clubhouse? Tita introduced me to it. I logged in. I'm on it a little here and there, but David, any insight on what we can do for our business, for learning? What do you got on Clubhouse?
You know what? I have an article that Tristan wrote recently, which is published in Outfront Magazine. If you text me, I'll send you that link, and then we could walk through those bullet points and see if that addresses your question. And of course, I would suggest everybody take a look at it, because I think he did a very good job of making it simple. And I think that would be my first suggestion, to bring yourself up to that level of understanding, and then we could get a little bit more specific in terms of what your intentions are and how to best use it. And then I guess, we could do things like, you could move this whole inner circle over to Clubhouse for a day and combine them and do them simultaneously, which is what people are doing now. They're running two things at the same time, whether it's LinkedIn, a podcast, a Clubhouse, or a Facebook Live. And I think that's kind of cool, because you're getting a lot of attention and you're getting a lot of cross marketing, if you will, and people are driving a lot of traffic to themselves as a result. So that would be my answer for now.
On a Clubhouse room and put Inner Circle on Clubhouse also?
Well, I'm going to think about the best ways to do everything I just said, and I may consult with Tristan a little bit about it. And I noticed what he was doing is he basically took Lab Coat and the things that he would normally do on Lab Coat, and for 3 straight days moved it to Clubhouse. And I think he's probably doing it for 2 reasons. One, if Facebook changes and all of a sudden what he's built over the course of the last 6 years evaporates as a result of some business changes or new direction that Facebook takes, then he's taken advantage of what Jay Jordan just said about Clubhouse is all the rage. So he's building his presence over there, and literally like within 10 days, he was at 7,000 followers, but other people were at 70,000. So I think if he shifts his people from Lab Coat to Clubhouse for 3 days, that's how he gets to 100,000 very quickly.
Yeah. So like, if let's say Susie has group coaching and we have different trainings and stuff, in your opinion, would it be a good idea for us to have a KWPE La Mirada Clubhouse account and put these on Clubhouse also?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think it would be great for Rob's job as a recruiter, and I think it's great for our job is to connect with more people faster. And don't hear me wrong, I'm not suggesting we take Inner Circle and all of a sudden do it on Clubhouse on a regular basis and cut this off, because I think this is very intimate, and it would sort of be, I'm throwing it out there as sort of more of a question, and what kind of strategy would we, capital.
Yeah, or like in addition, if I could run it simultaneously on Clubhouse and here in Zoom, that would be great. I didn't even think of that.
I'm also making some assumptions. Number one, that people want to grow their following on Clubhouse, and they want to grow their network in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us want to do that, right?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like what I said to Jordan. I think a lot of people like clean clothes, so his laundromat, that's why laundromat business is good. It's kind of like when, I wish I invented the Gillette razor blade, because, 2 billion people a day have to shave, so to speak, except Rob. He's an outlier.
Yeah.
He still has to trim.
That's true. That's true.
That's good food for thought, though. I hadn't thought about that. And hearing you guys, I hear Clubhouse every day, and just people are talking about how they're obsessed with it. And something for us to consider, Rob. We might get a clubhouse this week. Coming soon, KWPE La Mirada Clubhouse.
Yeah, we'll definitely chat about that. So
And-
what else is happening in your business right now? What happened this week? It's been this is the last week of the first month of the year. How's everybody holding up to their goals, their expectations, lead gen? What does that look like? You know, it's kind of like when you start Monday, sets the precedence for the whole week. You know, January is kind of like setting that for the whole year. So how are we looking? What are we struggling on? What can we help each other with?
Hey, Rob, it's Nelson. I think talking to all the realtor partners I work with, a lot of them are struggling with getting in front of people, how to lead gen. You know, a lot of their brokers are saying you can't farm, can't door knock, can't walk the area. So it's been, you know, the ones that don't embrace the technology have struggled with that. So there are some tools and coaching that we've done in that area, but you know, that's what I've sensed this week. Deals are still coming in though. So, I mean, rates are still going to be low for the whole year. And I think the listings and the inventory should come up a little bit. Everyone that sat on the fence and didn't want to sell in the fall are coming in. But now it's the time just to go a mile deep with your relationships, not a mile wide in having prospecting so much. Cultivate those referrals and those relationships. Train your database to send you ideal referrals. Us in the title business, people think I'm a realtor. My family, my friend, oh, you're a realtor. I'm like, no, I'm title. So they now know who my ideal clients are. And I think agents need to do that a little bit more, is to train their database to generate and let them know who your ideal clients are. So, but that's been the struggle I've this month is and farming requests are up too. So agents are having that energy to get out there more. So.
Gotcha. I'm glad you brought up farming. You know, because farming for me used to be door knocking, right? Daily. So what does farming look like for the agent that had to adapt to COVID-19? What type of farming are they looking for?
Well, digital farming is great. You have Command. Another website I like to send clients to is Clicks Media, CLIX, media.io. You type in an address, it'll do a half a mile radius, and you can get renters and homeowners on that. So you don't upload any data on it. For $19, you can send out a text blast for to 300 contacts. Now you can even upload your database to that. So that company is expanding, and it's working. After you pay and the blast goes out, you can upload your flyer, the link to your listing, and after you pay and send out the blast, you can download it, the data, on a CSV file or PDF, and now you have a call list. Okay, so that's a great way to do digital farming. And then private Facebook group pages are gold right now. Agents are getting 3 to 8 deals a year putting their database on a private group page on Facebook. That's free. You don't have to pay for it. And you own that group. You don't have any realtors that are competing with you. And you know exactly when to post during the week, because you get the insights and the data of when all those contacts in your private Facebook group page are on social media. And that's great data for you. So those are just a few tips that, if you're willing to put the sweat equity into it, work it.
Private Facebook group page. Remo, thoughts?
We actually have one for our past clients. So we got all the past clients that we had. We created this group, and anytime we share our success stories there with someone getting keys or a seller selling or a new listing, and it's a lot smaller. I think we probably have on there maybe 120 people that the size of the group. And the good thing is when you post something, you can see who's seeing the post. where sometimes if you just, post it on your personal business, it gets lost in the noise and Facebook's kind of filters who sees what. So the groups are a real, like, it's a lot more intimate. You definitely are getting the stuff seen. And, and that's where we share our videos, our value of anything else that we have going on. Maybe someone asked about an AC person, a this or that. So we share, and it's a small little intimate group that that we're continuing to cultivate and staying top of mind. And I would say 70%, 60% of the posts are seen by the group. So if we have 100, let's say 100 people, we're getting on average posts, it shows that it's seen by about 60, 70 of the eyeballs, which means that's a big number.
How do you add your past clients to that group? You send them a text with the link, or you already have them
you
on
have to
Facebook?
go, once you create the group, you go in there and you invite certain people. So they have to accept your invitation. So we have sent more invitations for other past clients, but the people that said yes is about 110 or so. And some people just won't accept it, and that's fine. But for those that are in it, then we want to make sure that we're continuing to kind of share stuff in there.
And you're the only one who posts in that group, or have you noticed clients post? Let's say if someone is a roofer and it's a past client of you that they post on it.
Sometimes, we'll put on there like, hey, regarding the AC, for example, one of our past clients recently asked if you guys need an AC person, here's our person, right? So we don't necessarily, like, the person doesn't have to post it. We could just say that someone asked, and whether someone asked or did it, that's not the concern. It's just putting it out there that we're a resource. So we want to create enough value where someone continues to come back and doesn't unsubscribe. And so that could be a combination of, sharing a picture of the same buyer's agent that helped them purchase, where they're chiming in and saying, good job, Mary, Francisco, Marisol, and so forth. So we want to keep kind of their people in top of mind, right? And in addition to that, it's just, value things about the home. And we also do a weekly update, and that goes in there. So once a week, it's a video, 1 minute, 90 seconds of who we help. We have any workshops coming up, anything else that's going on, maybe an event. And we just thank you for their continued, support and referrals. And we do that every week, and that gets put in there as well. Again, if no one, if they don't watch all of it, if they watch some of it, they just at least see it. And it shows up on their news feed as something that they don't necessarily have to go into it. Just like anything else, it comes up on their news feed.
Okay, thanks.
Hey guys, this is Susie. A couple of things it accomplishes is, you guys all know Facebook algorithms. We all have a lot of realtor friends on Facebook. So what Remo was saying, the small group, right? While it's small, everybody in that group is going to view his content. Yeah. Right now, Remo could have 1,000 friends, 300 of them being agents. And because of the algorithms, probably not all his sphere is going to see everything he posts. So this ensures that everything he posts coming from contribution regarding his listings, regarding, him helping his buyers, all of those people are going to see it. But after that, and when you're inviting people, it also, remember yesterday, for those of you that attended 3612, we talk about prospecting versus marketing and them being synergistic. So it also affords you the ability to pick up the phone. It gives you a reason to call your sphere and say, hey, I invited you to this group. This is what it's about. Our intention is to come from contribution. What would you like to see? And it just gives you a reason to call them. Also, when Remo's posting something, let's say about a buyer's workshop or what have you, then it's another reason for him to be able to either send out a video text flash or a call, and it gets his sphere more engaged.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that, Edwin. I know agents that are doing it, and they onboard their client to the group. They have just a questionnaire, anniversaries, birthdays, hobbies, and they tell them, I'm going to be raffling off a monthly raffle prize. Do you want to be part of the group? So they join the group that way. but they also track the activities also. So they do track it very well. Onboarding is very purposeful because it forces you to call your database and invite them to the group. And then when you close a deal with them, you pull out that sheet and you get them something that they're interested in with their hobbies, or something related to something that they like, versus getting them a gift like your grandma gets you at Christmas that no one wants, right? And then that's what you bring to your next white elephant gift party. So, but yeah, it does work. It's free, and I agree. I mean, Remo's been doing that for a long time, and what Susie says, it does work. It's essentially your new CRM.
Gotcha. Awesome. That's a lot of great nuggets right there. Well, it's 11 o'clock. We're actually out of time. Jordan had to pop off here. He had another interview that he was doing at 11 o'clock. So, I went ahead and sent him a text message thanking him for his time. So right now we got, some of the nuggets. We got riches are in the niches. He's found a niche using podcasts to set himself out there, to give himself validity. Obviously building some of these Facebook group posts, the podcast. Remo's What's Up Whittier is doing really well. And then how to target some people by having a Facebook private group pages is some good stuff as well. So I put Jordan's link in the website here. So laundromatresources.com. If you want to check him out, he's also an agent here in our office. He'll be on the roster, so he'll be available to chat with you guys if you like. And in the meantime, we'll see you on some of these other courses. Appreciate you coming to Inner Circle and masterminding with us. We appreciate you being here. We love being in business with you, and have a powerful week, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.